Well, here's what I was thinking about. You said something, and I think it was a conversation between you and Bailey, and it really kind of triggered something with me. Is you said, with marketing, the one thing, our biggest thing we've got to do is let people know that we exist.
That companies that do what we do actually exist, which is, I have this conversation a lot, and it's really, really, dude, that's kind of like almost like for guys like you and me that operate, that operate companies and, we're entrepreneurs our whole lives and things like that. It's just like, if that's our job, that's really, really cool. It's like the way it shook out. Like, so we have this huge market, this huge pool of people to talk to and things like that. And our job is to make sure they understand like an organization like ours even exists and how much we can actually help. I was like, I'm just very encouraged by that. I don't know if I'm looking at a glass half full too much.
No, I think that, what happens is we get caught up and where I was going with that is, we get caught up in our daily operational stuff and we're trying to think about this and think about that. And, we've got just different, it's just we're just life. It's every day. And I think that happens to nonprofits all the time. And you kind of forget what the mission is. You forget what our focus should be. And that's really, you hear people talk about vision statement, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what's your biggest thing. And I think that is one thing that I see happens to a lot of nonprofits is they forget their way. They get so busy doing business that they forget what they do. And forget to tell people that this is what we do.
That's a great point. I think that not by design or not because their intentions aren't sound or they, lost sight of their, their goals and things like that. But you're absolutely correct. It's like sometimes just breaking it down is being like, what is our sole focus here? And where I like how we're weaving in your word of the year, the focus term. Yeah. It's just like, it's really, really good. And it can be very, very enlightening and very uplifting. And like I keep saying, encouraging, speaking from our position about like, this is our job. This is what we do. And I love that you're mentioning that. We were just on a webinar not long ago. And we were just talking about, I stole your people exercise and getting folks exposed to the mission, but we kept on coming back. There was a theme. I kept on coming back to your mission's message and getting it out there branded as often as possible. Right.
Well, and that's what I mean. I don't think that you could do it at too much. And I think that's where a lot of nonprofits, you sit there and you talk to them and they get caught up in the X's and O's, but we're still here to, we still need to move the ball. And they get so caught up in the minutia of, well, this is what we're doing, or this is what somebody's thinking, or this is how somebody's acting, or this is the and just go back that they forget to talk about what they do. What is your mission? If your mission is buying diapers and formula for infants, then, make sure that everybody knows that. That should be your mission, to let everybody in the world know that's what you do. And because if you do that, then you're going to connect with enough of the right people who can know how to connect with you. Whether that be somebody who's going to, they've got a $10,000 check they want to write, or somebody that needs help with the mission. That's what the job is. The job is if we can let everybody know what we do, then the people that need our help can find us easily. And it's the same thing with nonprofits, because there are people out there that want to help. They want to do things. They want to be a part of your mission to help that because they have a heart for it. And once they hear what you're doing, they start coming out of the woodwork. And we see that. We see that with other nonprofits that really stick to the mission. They talk about what they do, and they're constantly out there, and everybody knows what they're about. And it's not easy. And when I say this, it's not a simple thing, because everybody goes, well, how do I do that? Well, you got to post on social media. Well, you post, how many times you need to post? About 9 times a day. And they go, really? Well, how the heck? So my point to this is you're never going to get to the perfect combination. You're never going to get there, because there's new people being born every day. Okay. New people are coming into your area every day. Very, very big world. And we know, because people are moving in organizations, or you're doing things, or people are, donors today aren't going to be necessarily your donors tomorrow. And just because they're not your donors today doesn't mean they won't be your donor tomorrow. And why that message is constantly doing that. And then I would follow up and say, knowing what your message is, because I think we talk to people every day, Trevor. And, my opening statement anytime I coach a nonprofit is, tell me in 10 words or less what you do. And most of the time they can't do it. Every once in a while they will, but most of the time they don't. And it's not, it's like, well, this is your marketing statement. It doesn't have to be your vision statement. It doesn't have to be your, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Everybody has mission statement. It doesn't have to be your mission statement, because your mission statement may be a page long. I mean, it may be something significantly big, but your marketing statement, like ours is, we help nonprofits raise more money. That's it. That's all we say. People ask me all the time, what do you do? I help nonprofits raise more money. Really? How do you do that? So it starts a conversation. And I think that's where, if I were going into the, anytime I'm talking, I always talk about this, but if I were going to be an executive director today in a nonprofit, my number one focus, my number one priority, and this is going to sound funny, my number one, doesn't mean I don't have other priorities, but my number one would be to let the world know what we do.
Text message folks, you can email folks, all these things, social media, you mentioned all those things.
Mm-hmm. All the above. Well, it's all the above.
It's all the above. And then what I think of is tell your story. It's a story. You're actually writing a story. Your organization's written a story, and it's there, and you got to tell it. And what's so funny, when you brought this topic up, which is an outstanding that we have this conversation about this, it layers into what we do on a daily basis. I think about this, man, I think about this in our personal lives, where you can't over communicate what someone means to you. You can't over communicate gratitude in your personal life. I think that we get in this space in our personal lives, and it bleeds over into our professional lives. And if you're running a nonprofit, you know what I mean? It has to be, you have to be telling the story day in, day out, every single day, every moment you can, to as many people as you can, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we get in this space as a society, as people, as human beings. I just noticed, because I notice it happens to me, because I'm not impervious to these things happening to me, where I've said this a bunch of times, where no news is good news.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they know we exist. Oh, that person knows I care about them. Or, I'll even talk about it with my own marriage. It's like, you have to prioritize communication if you want it to work. Well, that's a fundamental of interpersonal relationships, family, the whole nine. That still works in your professional life. You have to communicate these things. You have to tell these stories. And yeah, if you're not, you're missing the boat. What I always think of, though, when we bring up things like this, I think of, okay, average organization, 2.5, folks on staff, overworked, overstressed, maybe underpaid, bleed for the mission, care about it all. And they're going, hey, but I got to move those X's and O's. I got to take care of these daily ops and things like that. And I can't outsource it to anyone. So what would you tell them about what they need to do right away as far as telling the story and what their mission's doing?
The first thing I would do, the very first thing I would do, is I would make sure that all 2.5 people on the staff knew exactly what it is we do and how we communicate that in 10 words or less. The second thing that I would do is make sure the board knows it from the top to the bottom, that everybody knows in 10 words or less, and everybody is saying the same thing, because that message starts multiplying that. Because one of the things that happens in the nonprofit space that I see, and boards I've participated on, it's kind of been the same thing. Well, five people talk to five different people, and we all give a different version of the truth. It's all this truth. It's all the same thing, but it's five different versions. That story can't expand, and it can't go any further than what it is, because there's no unity, nothing unifying it together. So when I say, we help nonprofits raise more money, we tell everybody in our company, what do? We help nonprofits raise more money. It doesn't matter whether you're, it's Bailey running production, you, me, one of our hospitality specialists, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's the same thing, because over and over and over, that's what we do. So that first thing I would do is make sure that the staff does it, and then the board. Then you start doing with the donors that you currently have. There's a reason that companies and large corporations spend millions of dollars promoting, marketing and promoting the message. It's because of brand. That's exactly what it is. It's all brand based. And if you get that down, even if you're small, it will have an effect, because once everybody starts saying the same thing, there becomes a resonance effect, I guess is the word I would use, that expands it out. Everybody gets caught up in the thing of, God, I just don't have time. I don't have time. Well, we do I get it. Okay. Nobody understands it better than Trevor and I. We didn't even have a bootlace. We had a shoestring. And so when you have that, when you start, you have to do everything. I understand, with staff and busy, and you got to return calls, and you got to do this and you got to do that. But that's where that number one thing is, if you can do that can have the biggest effect on your organization, is that message. If you can do that one thing is you get everybody on the staff saying the same thing, because every time they go and introduce themselves and they say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, how are you doing? My name's Jason Ledlow." "Oh, really? What do you do, Jason?" "I help nonprofits raise more money." Whatever that mission is, if you can do that, that is going to create so much brand awareness throughout your organization, because it's going to have that ripple effect. And it's going to go through your organization and through your board and through your donors and your volunteers. And then it starts getting out there. And then you do start being able to do it on things like social media. When somebody picks something up and so you do get that advertisement, you can have that over and over and over again. So that's what I would do.
I'm not presupposing people are going to get confused with this. When we say the term brand, that's synonymous with your reputation, with your mark, all those things. So don't overthink it. We're not talking about, the Nike swoosh here, right? Let's not overthink it. It's not a fundamental of operating an organization that you should overlook because you're small. No, your brand is your reputation. In making sure that message is succinct and everyone knows it, that's how you build it. That's how you build it over time. And that's the mark that you leave about the organization, whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, frankly, right? So don't overthink the term when we use the term brand. It is wildly important. I would actually implore people to think about their organization like a brand, and that they're promoting, of course, because it's important. I just think it can't be overlooked. It can't be overstated. I think it's huge.
Well, it's and it's like a slogan, tagline, anything like that. And I was pulling some up because I wanted to see, these are taglines and slogans, but it's the same principle. Let me give you some that I think everybody would remember. M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hands. De Beers, a diamond is forever. Allstate, you're in good hands with Allstate.
You know who wrote that? You know who wrote those jingles? Band-Aid brand.
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow. I think it's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Not only do you get some good ideas about fundraising, but you also get the keepers of odd knowledge.
Yeah.
So, like McDonald's, I'm loving it. So the whole point is those things are what people tie into when you start doing that with your brand. And so when Trevor says, your brand, that's what he's talking about. Your brand is not just, your symbol, your logo, your brand. It's who you are. That way people can identify it. Whatever you do, there is something that, whatever mission that you're performing, there's a way to use that. That's why I always say, tell me what you do in 10 words or less.
Yeah. And let's get in the weeds a little bit on that too. Your brand, your organization's brand is what you do and what you say you're going to do, and following up on that too. That's a huge piece of that. If you say you're going to do something, that's your reputation / brand. It's something that can't be overlooked. Don't make any promises you can't keep when you're building a brand, because I think at this day and age, I think that it's competitive, I suppose, right? When we're vying for attention, it's a very big world and folks are getting it from so many different angles, but being aware of those kinds of things, I mean, that's huge. You get one reputation, you get one brand, you get one chance with some folks, and, making sure that you're, putting that at the forefront, I think is something that absolutely needs to be top of mind. Doing what you say, especially in your community. If you're growing an organization, you're very community driven, whoever you're serving, things of that nature, making sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And, you always use the famous, hey, this lady bought a table at the event and they guarantee, she was a huge donor and they guaranteed her the cheese tray, and she showed up and most people were like, it's the cheese tray. No big deal. She's a $25,000 ever sponsor, but you said you were going to do it.
Yeah.
So
well, the problem is she had a spot for the cheese tray. They told her she was going to get it. If you hadn't promised it to her, she would have got her own cheese tray. It wasn't a big deal, but yeah, if you tell somebody, don't under promise, over deliver. I mean, that's the easiest thing is to do that. But, going back to the brand, going back to letting people know who you are, I think that's what I mean. It's something that gets overlooked because we make it overcomplicated. We start trying to think, well, I've got to have this brand. I've got to have we've got to have a committee. We've got to talk about what it is. We got to keep it. I mean, if you're sending kids with cancer to camp, just say, we send kids with cancer to camp. It's really simple. We provide formula and diapers. Don't overcomplicate it. This doesn't have to be a catchy jingle. You don't need to go get Barry Manilow to write it for you. Just tell people what you do in as few words as you possibly can, and then say it over and 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 over again. And I will tell you this, there are going to be people who say, but we do 14 different things. Who's the general population that, give us a basis of that. Look at a general statement that you can do that's honest and get it down to that. Well, I was on for 211 Heartline. So 211, and it was like, when you can't call 911, call 211. If it's not bad enough to call 911, call 211 for everything else. And we did a program on that. So it's all those things about telling people what you do and telling it over and over and over again. But again, it starts with word of mouth, people to people, person to person. Oh yeah, I know who that is. They send kids with cancer to camp. Oh yeah, I know those HGA guys. They help nonprofits raise more money.
Yep. And any opportunity, that's a great challenge. We're not asking you to we're not asking you to ask for discounts at the coffee shop or anything like that to get over any call reluctance or talking about what you do, all those different, theories or whatever that are out there to get folks over their fear. But we are imploring you, we're encouraging you, tell as many people as you can. If you get in the back of an Uber, someone's going to ask you what you do. Tell them what you do. You take it as an opportunity. Tell everyone what you do.
Okay. And this is, I think, is the really important part, because if you go, well, I volunteer at such and such, or I'm at this nonprofit and we do this and this and this and this and this. You don't need to throw up on people because you're trying to initiate a conversation.
We're a 501c3.
You're not trying to, this is not a dissertation. This is a conversation, two ways. You want them to ask questions, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Ask other people questions, find out about them, hear what they have to say. And, you find out that they don't know anything about you. You know everything about them. And when they walk away, they go, wow, Trevor, he is so nice. I really like Trevor a lot. Man, goodness. Well, you don't know anything about Trevor because you were talking about yourself, but Trevor was making that happen because he kept asking those questions. He was interested, genuinely listened. And that happens. I mean, we're getting, we're kind of going all over the place, but it comes back to that. The reason I say, when people ask me, they go, what do you do? Well, I help nonprofits raise more money. Really? Well, tell me more about that. That's what I'm looking for. Because it's a conversation. And with every time I do, somebody knows somebody. And this is not all, it's not because I'm trying to go get business out of it. I don't want you to misunderstand. A lot of times they'll say, oh, you know what? I used to be volunteer on a nonprofit. And it's just started a conversation. It's just connecting with people. And the more that you connect, because there is going to be some, oh my gosh, do you have a card? I've got to get your card. And it does happen. Of course, I always say, no, I don't, but I can show you, I can send you my contact. You know what? I carried cards forever. It's like a journey in my past, seeing all the different cards I had. But yeah, it's just,
so much of what we do is so remote though, where it's not necessary. I love the QR code with, the information, the LinkedIn profile, all that good stuff. I think that's really fun. I think it's fun. So cool idea there. We spent a lot of time talking to folks about having your organization's missions message down in 10 words or less. Reach out to us because we do free coaching. Reach out to Jason at hcafundraising.com. You can email me if you like. Jason's a lot better at it than I am. Nonetheless, you can reach out to me as well, just Trevor at hcafundraising.com. We'll be happy to spend some time with you, because if you're not doing this right now, back to the point that Jason made, if you're not doing it, everyone on your staff, everyone on your board, it doesn't matter if it takes an hour and a half long meeting to where everyone's message is succinct and it's the exact same. So there's continuity. There's a mistake. You're leaving something on the table.
I just think it doesn't cost anything except a little bit of time. It has the biggest impact that you can have when it comes to expanding the brand, the market. Who knows who the reach of your messaging,
the effect, everything.
Because you can go put it out on a post and go post it on Instagram and nobody's going to see it. You can go put it in Facebook, nobody's going to see it. But you go out there and every time you shake somebody's hand and meet somebody and you tell them, hey, yeah, I'm with such and such nonprofit and we help, kids go to camp. And that's all you got to do. Yeah. People they're going to figure out real quick whether that's something they want to be a part of, or they'll ask you more about it. Even if they may never give you a dime, but they're going to talk to you about it. And when something else comes along, oh, you know what? I met that executive director. Oh my gosh, she was the nicest person. Yeah, they really do a cool thing over there, because you just never know who you're talking to. And what a magnifying effect. Let's say you got 8 board members and you got 3 staff people plus yourself. All of a sudden that's 12 people that are out there, ambassadors to the brand. in your community. And that's where most of your dollars are going to come from, is in your community. It's not like you're going to, I mean, it does happen. I don't mean to say that it doesn't, but it's not like, you're going to, all of a sudden your next big donor is going to come from Kalamazoo, and you're in Carlsbad. I don't mean that at all. It just means because that's where most of your stuff's going to come in your community, and that's how people are going to get to know you. So,
yeah, which should be encouraging.
So go do it. It's something you can do. It's easy. And it's fun.
No question. I love it. Yeah. I hope that helps. I hope that brought some value to everybody. Yeah, do it. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're super easy to reach, and we're happy to help.
Any comments, man. We would love to hear it. Yep. If however you're seeing this, if you leave a comment down below, we'll get back to you. We'll tell you. Bailey will make sure we've got a question. We'd love to hear about it.
And if you're stuck on that missions message, just let us know. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to work it through with you, give you some time, and that's what we do. So, yeah, thanks, brother. Awesome. Until next time, everybody. Appreciate you.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you love our podcast, click the download button, rate us, and follow us on social media at HGA Fundraising. Get out there, start fundraising, and raise more money. See you next time.